100 days of war for Israel and 100 days of captivity for the hostages. Yesterday, Israelis marked a grim milestone since the October 7th massacre by Hamas.
Here in the United States, the White House is saying that now is the right time for Israel to begin downgrading the fighting in Gaza. This comes just as a terror attack has left more than 12 people injured near Tel Aviv today. Chris Mitchell brings us the latest on the coming conflict.
Israeli media reporting today that just outside of Tel Aviv, at least one Palestinian terrorist from Hebron stabbed an Israeli woman, stole several cars, then rammed a number of Israelis, including children, on their way home from school. Israeli media reporting at least 18 people injured, several with life-threatening injuries. The attack happening the day after relatives and friends of hostages held by Hamas marked the 100 days in a 24-hour rally in Tel Aviv, including 100 seconds of silence. Israel's President Isaac Herzog issued a call to the world.
Stand with life and liberty against barbarism and hate. Stand with freedom and democracy. Stand with our hostages and help bring them back home. There is no later. The time to act is now.
Released hostage Raz Ben-Ami, whose husband Ohad is still a captive, described her ordeal.
Being kidnapped is not being able to sleep, knowing that terrorists are aiming a gun at your head. To be kidnapped is to feel powerless, to lose control of your life. Being kidnapped is not knowing if you will live in the next minute.
It's been a difficult time for the entire family the past 3 months, and I can't believe it's been 3 months.
On CBN's Faith Nation, Moshe Levy said it's been weeks since his family has heard news of his brother-in-law, Omri.
We worried sick because we hear testimonies of those released hostages, and many of them, not all, but many say and share that they were held in difficult conditions, deprived of food and water, proper sanitary conditions. Some were abused, tortured, sexually violated. So when you wake up every day, you think about what he's facing there.
In Washington, D.C., pro-Palestinian protesters called for an end of Israel's military action in Gaza. Security officials relocated White House staff members after some protesters damaged the exterior fence. On the military front, Hamas marked the 100-day anniversary of the October 7th attacks with a salvo of rockets and a banner, January 14th, 100 days of battle, Ashdod under fire, and we have more. In the Red Sea, the Houthis launched a missile at a U.S. warship. The first attack since the U.S. and U.K. launched 2 airstrikes against the Iranian-backed group. This satellite image shows substantial damage at this airfield. And the Navy says it's still searching for 2 missing SEALs who fell into the sea during a nighttime boarding off the coast of Aden last Thursday in a mission to stop more arms shipments to Yemen. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
On this Martin Luther King Day, let us remember the Jewish people that live right here in the United States, that they're under attack. The government keeps track of religious hate crimes. The FBI has a database. You know, you would think that some other minorities would be in the lead here, but overwhelmingly, it's the attacks against Jewish people. It's the attacks against synagogue. We shouldn't have that, but we're seeing it around the world. And we're listening to this propaganda, and somehow or other, our news media seems to want to buy into it. When you say that Gaza was some kind of occupied territory, it's a complete lie. There were no IDF soldiers in Gaza at all, and haven't been for decades. The Gazans had their own ability to elect their own government. They could have had all the benefits of modern civilization. There's a lot of talk of Israel supplies their water and Israel supplies their power. Well, they could have done that. They could have built a power plant. They could have built water generation. They could have done all of those things. And instead, they chose to build a military. They chose to attack Israel. And they have vowed to redo that, to have October 7th again and again and again and again and again until Israel is wiped out. Somehow in this narrative, Israel is called a colonial occupying power, that Israel is having some kind of apartheid state, that Israel is racist. All of these things are complete, absolute lies. What was the racist state? It was Gaza, where if you were Jewish, you couldn't live there. Who was the occupied territory? Well, Gaza occupied its own territory. We can't allow this anymore. This should not happen. And the United States government shouldn't call for Israel to somehow stand down and lighten up. This should not be. These hostages need to be freed. Hamas needs to stop firing rockets at Israel. And until Hamas unconditionally surrenders, Israel should keep this war going because they have an absolute right to defend themselves. They are in the right on this, and anyone who is protesting against it, I'm sorry. If you care for the children of Gaza, tell Hamas to lay down their arms.